What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Lineman Life. I am your observer, Lineman Uche Waneri. I'm here with my co-host, Justin Blaylock. We are the linemen of Lineman Life. It is Monday. Championship weekend is past. And, Ustradamus, I might have to change that to Nostradamus because I was off by quite a long shot. And really, I mean, I'm not too mad because I mean, they should have won. The teams that I picked should have won, but they ended up kind of screwing it off. So we will get into that and we'll talk about the championship weekend that was. And then from there, we will talk and we will get into a very, very nuanced conversation with my guys here, UCF Jaguar and Edilla, about the Jacksonville Jaguars, the state of Clown Town, because it's not looking good. But we will get into that in a moment. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Subscribe to the Observer Lineman Uche Waneri if you haven't already. Guys, AFC Championship game. What will go down probably is one of the fastest turnarounds, I would say, of a franchise in the NFL. The Cincinnati Bengals, a team that was, 4-12?
4 wins, yeah, 4 wins.
Yeah. Last year?
Yeah.
2 wins, 4-12. Right? Yeah. No, 11-1, I think.
Tie,
yeah.
They had a tie in there. Behind their first overall pick, Joe Burrow, have in 2 seasons gotten the Cincinnati Bengals their first playoff win in 40 years, their first AFC Championship appearance in 40 years, and now their first Super Bowl since the 1989 Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. Good times for Flemlo Raps. I'm sure he is super hyped about this. I talked to him yesterday after the game. He's over the top right now. But the Bengals going back, and I like Joe Burrow, and I've said often that he has, you look at him and he has what it takes. He looks like he has what it takes to carry a team when it's needed to get them to the top of the hill. And now they're they're going to the big show. They're playing in the Super Bowl. Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's fair to say that the NFL overtime system, the overtime rules are perfectly balanced because, like I said last week, this is football, a team sport where each side has a responsibility to come through for your teammates. And what did the Bengals do, ladies and gentlemen? They came through for their fucking teammates. Stopped Kansas City because I tell you what, when Kansas City won that toss, motherfuckers was like, this might be over.
Hey, that stadium celebrated like they won. The stadium literally went bonkers.
Oh, the stadium erupted when they won the coin toss. And
even the Twitter account was lit.
Yeah, they even said something on the broadcast.
Everybody. 99.9% of the American population watching the game called that as game. That's game, set, match. Kansas City getting it first? But that 0.1%, sometimes it'll get you. That 0.1% of Bengals fans that was in that stadium was like, they were pulling their hair out, but they was like, come on, baby, get her done. Let's go. And that's what happened. They intercept Patrick Mahomes. And look, Patrick Mahomes had a terrible second half. For as good as that team looked in the first half, they fell the hell apart.
He was feeling very charitable.
Yes, or the Bengals stepped the hell up, one of the two. I would probably lean towards the middle and say it was a little bit of both. The Bengals stepped up and made stops, and the Chiefs got too cute. They tried to be too cute. They stopped playing football and they started playing 7-on-7, and that spelt their demise. So Kansas City loses to the Bengals. What do you guys what was your reactions initially? What did you guys think? Who called the upset is what I want to know.
I definitely didn't call the upset. I actually 21-3. I pulled my glasses off and took a nap. Woke up to the Bengals going for 2 and tying the game. So I was like completely blown away, like to begin with, because I wasn't expecting it at all. But I think like it's really important to remember, like you were talking about earlier with the Cincinnati Bengals, they were the Jaguars last year. They had the first overall pick. They had the quarterback. Now he ended up getting hurt and not having a whole year like Trevor had. But the thing they went and did this year, so if you're looking, for a blueprint, we can talk about it later. But they went and got him a weapon. And I think that you touched on his personality earlier, someone who can carry the team. When you have, a deficiency like the offensive line that the Bengals have, and you have a quarterback who looks cool, calm, and collective the whole time, it doesn't become an issue over and over and over again. Every play is a new play. So I don't think anyone was really surprised that the Bengals made it a game because they've been playing good football. But I think like when you look at it collectively, Joe Burrow is something else. And that 1%, like you said, of Pat Mahomes not being successful, they met at the same time. And the Bengals are crazy, man.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, honestly, I look at this situation, and anybody who watched the Bengals play against the Titans, and that the expectation was a lot of sacks. That offensive line gave up 9 sacks to the Tennessee Titans. Now, as linemen, what the meeting room was like after that.
Oh, Jesus.
You get in that meeting room on Monday, you sit down. Everybody, the coach ain't in there yet, so everybody's kind of looking around like, man, this shit gonna be rough, ain't it? Like, yeah, it's gonna be bad. Like, yeah, we won the game, but come on, we know there was a problem with protection. 9 sacks, and they won in spite of us. So this is gonna be like probably an extra hour of watching this game film to break down all the mistakes and really. What the Titans did that got to Joe Burrow a lot was they ran a lot of different games. They didn't really blitz him at all. They just gamed the O-line, and that's a drill. You can drill that to get better at that. So, there's probably an emphasis put on that because once you show a deficiency in the NFL, it's going to be attacked until it's stopped.
For sure.
And they gave up, I believe, 1 sack against the Chiefs.
Yep.
1 sack. So that offensive line unit, they galvanized because they knew what was on the line. For sure. And like you said, this is something you can really compare in terms of the way that the franchise has turned itself around to the Jaguars. The Jaguars are in the exact same scenario and have been in the exact same scenario the last 2 years. But, they got Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, to an extent, you can look at him from the outside and say, hey, there's some similarities in, calm demeanor. He's got big arm, athletic, a lot of the same traits that Joe Burrow has. But again, you need building blocks around that to be able to optimize the talent. But Kansas City, again, a big letdown. You gave up, an 18-point lead?
Gigantic.
Yeah, it was big. At one point, I thought it was over. And I think the cool thing about the Bengals when you look at it, I know as Jaguar fans, it's like, man, we have to fix the O-line. We have to get the wide receiver room right, the tight end room right. But I think what the Bengals show is that, if you can get a quarterback and just have a couple of units that are really, really good, it can kind of cover up some deficiencies on the team. And, look at the Bengals right now. They banded together. They played as a team. They overcame a lot of stuff, including, being on a road for 2 straight games in the playoffs, and now look at them. They're in the Super Bowl. They went to Kansas City and took care of them and beat them in overtime. And I remember last week it was really annoying because we had 4 awesome divisional games, and instead of celebrating it on Monday, the first story on Monday is, a coin toss determined that last game. No, it didn't. A defense allowing a team to drive the field in 13 seconds decided the game. You're allowed to play defense in the playoffs. You're allowed to play defense in overtime. So it was really cool the way the Bengals were able to band together. And now we have kind of a new blood Super Bowl. So I'm definitely excited for it.
Yeah, no, I think that this is going to be an entertaining Super Bowl simply because there's not a Brady playing in it. And we kind of don't have a problem right now watching the Chiefs in it, but they fell out. So we got some fresh teams in the Super Bowl. Yes, the Rams did go. Yeah, the Rams went a few years back, but I mean, that wasn't a Rams team that was ready to beat the Patriots. And now this year, you've got kind of a new look Rams team that's going in. They beat the 49ers, team that I was a fan of the Niners growing up. So I was actually rooting for the Niners to win. And like you just said, UCF, a defense can win the game. The Niners defense had an opportunity to win the game. They dropped a wide open interception that would have ended the game. And that was, and it's crazy because the first time in my football career throughout my life when I actually witnessed that kind of like flip-flop, how when a guy misses the ceiling interception, it usually leads to utter disaster soon to follow. We were playing against Ohio State at Purdue, and we were basically playing for the Big Ten title. If we would have beat Ohio State, no, my bad. This was at Ohio State. If we beat Ohio State, we get the Big Ten title. We ended up losing to them in overtime. But before overtime, their quarterback threw a dart straight to our safety, and it hit him directly in the chest, and he dropped it. And the very next play, they scored a touchdown to tie it from like 45, 50 yards out. And that was like my first time seeing that. Now, every time after that, whenever I see it, whether it's watching the game or not, or whatever it may be, and I see a guy miss a pick like that, I'm always like, in 3 plays, the game is about to get changed because he didn't make that pick. And that's what happened with the Niners. The Niners, I forget the guy's name. He dropped the pick.
Is it Wilson or something? I forget his last name. Number
Wilson.
3.
I think it was number 3. He
It
dropped
was
the pick.
Jaquiski Tart, I think.
Tart, yeah. He drops the interception, and within 5 plays, I think it is, maybe a little bit more. The Rams go down the field, take the lead, and then you put it in the hands of Jimmy G to win the game, to get them, or at least try to get to overtime. So, with that game, I'm really, I would say I'm a Niners fan, but I wasn't mad that the Rams won the game, mainly because Matt Stafford has proved a point about his situation as a quarterback in the NFL. He was on a team for 13 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is notorious for mismanaging their star talent, much like the Jaguars at this point. And a lot of times people called him Pat Stafford. Pat Stafford. So a lot of times people call him a paper champ, a paper champ, a guy who pads his stats. He's always in the top tier of the quarterbacks in the league, but doesn't have any wins to really show for it. I always thought that Matthew Stafford was a baller. I always thought that he was a guy who could make plays. He just needed help. Yeah. And with the history that the Lions had in treating those stars and how those guys usually leave the league early, he was the one who survived. He was the one who made it. Mm-hmm. And now he's showing why he is truly a great quarterback in the NFL. He's an elite quarterback, and in one season, one season as a quarterback for a good team, for a team that has weapons, and he's in the Super Bowl. Yeah. So, big shout out to Matthew Stafford on that, because, a lot of detractors over the years for him, a lot of detractors. And I got to imagine that the Lions fan base is at least happy for him because they knew it was the team.
They weren't doing him any favors there. And he's a Dallas guy. So, big up to him.
And he's a Dallas guy. Yeah. Us Dallas guys got to stick together.
But it's funny, though, when you look at the quarterbacks, when Patrick Mahomes got the ball at the end of regulation yesterday, you thought there was a decent chance that they would get a field goal. When the 49ers got the ball after the Rams scored, did you think Jimmy G was going to get the points? Because I was like, ball game as soon as they kicked the field goal. And I think that's kind of funny because at the end of the day, it does come down to the quarterback play, like Matt Stafford being elite. But I mean, maybe you're a little bit higher on Jimmy G than me.
I assume everyone's going to get a field goal.
I like Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G.
In 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
Like, I mean, everyone drills 2 minute. I mean, probably at least 2 or 3 times a week during the season, and God knows how much during the off season. I just assume that unless you're the Cowboys, if there's more than 20 seconds left on the clock, you're going to find a way to get in field goal position. I mean, it's almost too easy nowadays.
I feel you. And that's
25, and most kickers can kick from 55, 60. So you're only looking at really getting 35 yards in 2 or 3 plays. I mean, it's almost child's play.
I got you. And that's like for you guys where ex-players or current players watch the game so much differently than fans do. You know what I mean? Like you guys seeing it every day and stuff like that. You completely think about it different than us. And I love the perspective. That's tight.
Yeah,
Even
much
maligned like Jimmy.
like
he will get it. I mean, he's a professional. Shit.
Yeah,
he did it against Green Bay
for sure. No, yeah, he's done it before, but it's just one of those like vibe
Bay.
things. I got you.
But I also looked at the way the defensive line was getting after them at the end of that game, especially in the fourth quarter. He started feeling it, and they didn't give him a chance.
When they knew that they had to throw the ball, it's different. Because in San Francisco, most of the time you're not able to pin your ears back and just see a spin move from a damn nose guard. The guys have to play somewhat sound football on their way to the quarterback. But in a situation like that, we got them. Like, run be damned.
Well, that's like, I mean, in a weird way, that's like O lineman's worst nightmare. Watching, knowing that the D line knows that you ain't running the ball, it's all pass. They'll start widening out just a little bit in their stance. You're like, oh shit, here we go. Here we go.
Why are you in a 4-eye? Bring your ass over here.
Man, my first game ever as a starter was against Albert Hainsworth when he was in his contract year. That contract year Hainsworth was something different. And because I got hurt, I flipped around a couple spots that game, and I ended up on the left side because I hurt my knee. But I came back in the second half. Vinny tore his ACL, so they moved me to left guard and brought in like our last O lineman to play right. And Hainsworth knew that I was hurt. He looked at me and he lined up over the tackle over Khalif Barnes. God. Khalif looked at me and was like, "Ouch, he coming to you?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, cool." I'm like, "Oh, you got it." So it's hard, but in that situation, look, to an extent, if you got the Niners, if they were out at like their 30-yard line, it would have been a different story. 30, 35-yard line, I would have been like, "Oh, Jimmy G got this." I think they only got out to like their. Did they get out to their 20? They were backed up. They were backed up, and backed up. That offense is not built to go 90 yards in a minute and like change. It's just not built to do that. They don't have enough in a receiving core to stretch the field, and the O-line had got worked for like the two drives prior to that. So they were going through it, and that D-line just peeled off on them. So that's how it ended up going. But it will be the Rams and the Bengals. I'm excited for that. I think that'll be cool. The Rams are going to be playing a second home game in a row because it's in LA. But we'll see. In a couple of weeks how that plays out. Obviously, Super Bowl Sunday. But let's move forward a little bit here. I don't think we need a ton of time to go through the championship weekend stuff, but we got to talk about the Jaguars. Got to talk about these damn Jaguars. So today, the Jaguars decided, let me pull this up here. I'll share this with the screen. And I mean, I found there were so many headlines on this. Jacksonville is, to say that this franchise is dysfunctional at this point would be an understatement. This franchise is a flaming heap of trash that's just going down the road, like on the little GIFs of the trash cans going down the flooding street on fire. That is Jacksonville right now. That is the Jaguars. But seeing here, Jaguars are blowing it. So the Saints, no one is setting up interviews with Byron Leftwich right now. I think it's because they know Byron Leftwich is set on the Jaguars job. He's already reached out to the Jags and told them he'd like to have the job. They started working on contract details, but seems that there is a snag in the situation. And in this article here from sportsillustrated.com, they go through a little bit of it here. It says the Jaguars' search for Urban Meyer's replacement seems to be turned upside down on itself with each passing day. This continued on Monday with reports of the Jaguars interviewing former Las Vegas Raiders interim head coach and special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia. But an added twist came from fellow team conducting their own head coach search. While no team in the NFL has had the dysfunctional and overall sloppy search for head coaches the Jaguars have had, there have been other openings that have looked at the same candidates the Jaguars have. Such is the case with Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense coordinator Byron Leftwich, whose only options at this point have appeared to be with the Jaguars, staying in Tampa Bay or gaining traction in the New Orleans Saints head coach search. But despite reports nearly a week ago of the Saints putting in a formal request to speak with Leftwich, Jaguars head coach candidate and former quarterback has yet to arrange such an interview with the Saints. This remained the case on Monday with NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reporting the Saints scheduled a number of interviews this week, 4 to be exact. Interviews consist of speaking with Doug Peterson, Brian Flores, Aaron Glenn, and Dennis Allen, but not Leftwich, who there hasn't been much of an update on at all over the last week. So, knowing what we know today and how the Jaguars decided to bring in the former Vegas Raiders interim head coach. I have such a hard time saying Las Vegas Raiders. Knowing what we know today and knowing what we thought we knew last week, what the hell is going on in Jacksonville? What exactly are they doing? What is the end game? And to add to even insult to injury, they put in a request to interview what's his name? O'Connell from the Rams, their offensive coordinator, and they can't even do that because they didn't do it when they were supposed to, and now they have to wait until after the Super Bowl. Now, this is a team that hasn't had a head coach for over 40 days.
Man,
what do you guys think about the situation as it's unfolding right now?
So I think like currently in this situation, every day continues to show that the Jaguars are more and more dysfunctional. At the business level of the franchise, the latest thing we heard today was that Doug Peterson was going to get a second interview.
Yeah,
right?
He got a second interview.
So
I forgot to add that.
To me, that screams something just like really blatant and really embarrassing that the Jaguars right now are left with. They got caught with their pants down. They can't interview O'Connell out there in LA. So they're tracking back on something that they had no interest in Doug Peterson because they don't have anything else to do. So they might as well bring him back in and see if maybe they can talk him into working with Trent Baalke, because at the end of the day, that's the problem. The Jaguars have a Trent Baalke problem, and until Trent Baalke's gone, there's no success going to be coming from the inside of the Jaguars or on the field. But I think, like I said, literally every time anything breaks, it just shows that the Jaguars are dysfunctional. That's the only word you can truly use. And that's just like currently talking about what's happening right now. Doug Peterson wants roster control. Trent Baalke's not going to give him roster control. Like that's not going to happen. And we know he wants roster control because that's how he fell out in Philly. He didn't get what he wanted power-wise, and it led to a nasty breakup. So for now, like when you look at something like that, I just think it screams the Jaguars are that almost like they would be bored. They would continue to look like they have no idea what's going on, even though to us who like if you have any kind of information, or even if you're just listening to the information that the big media is given, you can connect the dots. Every time the Jaguars do something, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it's a difficult situation right now because the Jaguars, we're now 46 days without a head coach. And, we can put this back to 2021. The Jaguars had a generational GM and head coach opening. The GM with all the draft assets that they had, a head coach, they're going to be able to open up with Trevor Lawrence. And right now the expectations for this organization aren't playoffs. It's not Super Bowl. It's just competence. And then what did they do last year when they had this golden opportunity? They hired Urban Meyer and Trent Baalke. Shad Khan had the worst offseason an owner could have had. And then now he was forced into a situation where, people give him credit for firing Urban Meyer. He doesn't deserve credit for that because he had to fire him. He was forced to fire him. I mean, if it wasn't such a PR disaster, he might still be here, which is pretty scary. So
you would still be here if it wasn't
Yeah.
such a PR disaster.
So you get rid of Urban Meyer. Then now you're in a situation where it's like, look, Shad, you swung for the fences, you missed. It's time to get this thing right. And now he's in a situation where he's not wanting to get rid of Trent Baalke. And you can hear from everywhere, whether it be local media, national media, like fans, former players, like scouts. Nobody has anything to say about this situation. And now, we're a month and a half later, and the same exact things that even the fans know when it comes to no quality candidate is going to want to deal with Trent Baalke. It's coming and playing into fruition. So now we're in a situation where it's like, Shad, what are you doing? Shad does not want to get rid of this guy. So he is either, incompetent or he doesn't care. And it's probably both. So it's really frustrating because as fans, we want to know what we can do to change things. I mean, we've changed our Twitter avies. We've gone to the games dressed as clowns. We've done everything we can. And he's just not responding. And then now we set out, we had like 8 opening interviews, and now 45 days later, we're restarting a search with brand new candidates out there. We're interviewing the Raiders interim GM who weren't even good enough for their own team when they go out and hire Josh McDaniels. When you look at things on this team, I mean, this should be a good opening. But right now we're driving this franchise into the ground. And, as fans in a city where the Jaguars are the only major pro team in the city, we just want to be proud of our team. And I guess right now that's asking too much.
We want to at least not be like completely embarrassed.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think it's important to focus on. I think Shad Khan's NFL circle is too small, and that's why you see someone like Trent Baalke having the power he does. The circle in Jacksonville has always been small, but right now it's smaller than it's ever been when it comes to the power at the top. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't remember that the Jaguars had a top 3 candidate search, right? They had Matt Eberflus, who I can say never had a final shot to be the head coach of the Jaguars. He was there as a third option for leverage, and they wanted to look into the Indianapolis Colts organization because it's a division rival. So that's how they sold it. The other 2 were Nate Hackett, who ended up in Denver, and Byron Leftwich, who literally got to the negotiation table, got to a point in the negotiations where Trent Baalke's level of power was questioned. And from that point on, it's all gone crazy. So I think we have to remember, no matter what happens in the search, it's not what the Jaguars wanted to happen, and it's not what they planned to happen. So when you look at the whole process, no matter what happens, even if somehow we get lucky, old friend Eric Stoner always said, if anything good happened to the Jaguars recently, it was on accident. So if this works out, it was on accident. But the whole process,
not wrong.
The whole process has to be understood. It's terrible. No matter what they do now, if they don't hire Byron Leftwich, it's goofed. The optics already look terrible. They can crawl out of a hole. But if they don't hire Byron Leftwich, it just continues to show where we think we are as fans, as an organization. And, UCF was touching on it. It should be a good job. Trevor Lawrence, another first-round pick, even if you don't think the top talent in the draft is that good, it's still the first overall pick. You have a ton of cap room, and you have an owner who's willing to spend, and he's patient, which clearly, he's not the smartest guy.
To a fault.
Yeah, you feel me? It's I don't know. It's almost like you see someone like Trent Baalke who can get in there and manipulate Shad Khan, because I think it's clearly what's happening. Because if you listen to the sounds, you have Shad Khan who's listening to Trent Baalke, and you have Shad Khan who's not listening to his son, Tony Khan. All you hear about in the media is Tony Khan is looked at as a plus management level official in the NFL. And he's the owner's son. He's got a ton of money. He'll be the owner one day, I assume. He's got a small involvement in the team right now. So when you hear people continually say lately that Tony Khan is a bright spot in the organization, and you hear what people are saying Tony Khan wants the Jaguars to do, and that's hire Byron Leftwich. And then you see what his dad's doing with Trent Baalke. It's just more and more and more. Why would you choose not only Trent Baalke over the future and Trent Baalke over Trevor Lawrence, You're choosing him over your son, who's literally looked at now as like an up and coming person in the NFL. It just doesn't make any sense. There nowhere along the connect the dots do you get a final image of a boat in the water. It just looks like a big, mark. And that's where we're at as an organization. We're a big mark.
There's one explanation. He has naked photos of Shad Khan.
That's why
he's got the dick pics that he sent somebody. Oh, I mean, shit! Here we
go. That's why it's so hard to cover this stuff, because you want to look at it from a standpoint of, okay, what makes sense. You want to look at it from a standpoint of, okay, the owner, he's a billionaire, he's not a dumbass. You know what I mean? But we look at this and nothing makes sense. And you try to go on Twitter, and a lot of times you can get a lot of information from Twitter. You go on Twitter and you leave more confused than before you entered the app, because depending on who says what, you have it's just different reports and different rumors out of every single different direction. And there's no clear direction on what's happening. And there's no clear direction on, like, when are we going to finally hire somebody? I mean, at some point you're going to have to hire somebody, and, time is kind of ticking. We're about to be in February, and we're interviewing guys for the first time. It's bad right now. It's really bad.
Yeah, you're going to end up dancing with the chick that no one wanted.
Not even on the team. We're going to get the Raiders coach who didn't even want.
I mean, yeah, that one was a surprise to me. You're bringing in the Raiders interim coach? Not even like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to knock him, but he got that team to the playoffs. They rallied around him.
Squad than we
That's
thought
great, but that situation is not this situation. He ain't digging himself. He ain't digging his team out of this situation. Yeah. Hell, he was damn near in over his head. I'm sure that's what he thought when he got the interim spot in Las Vegas. He was like, oh, shit, here we go. Well, nobody's going to say it's my fault if we fail. So let's just see what happens.
Got zero expectations here.
You know what I mean?
I could literally
no expectations.
do anything.
Stopgap.
I could do anything. I would one game.
It's like the head coach in Houston. As shitty as they did him, they did him so shitty.
Hey, but you know what? $2 million.
He leaves
do me
with
that shitty.
He gets his money, and he leaves with some dignity and some respect, that more dignity and respect that he probably had when he came in, because he took a job that was a screw job, and he actually did better at it than anybody expected him to. I mean, who thought that Houston would win 4 games?
I think he needs to take the Saints job. The Saints are in a rent-a-coach situation right now, where they need
Saints
to hire a guy, clean it up for a year, and then move on.
The Jaguars should hire him.
Jaganov says Shad Khan, worst owner in sports, period. Oh, well, there are some bad owners in sports, but he's close. I'll give you that. He's close right now, just from a purely a practical standpoint. The Jags haven't done anything practical. Now, the thing, when I look at this situation, because I mean, I've talked to a number of people who are closer to the situation, talked to a number of people who are, who are beat writers in the city. And, I think that there's an element of pride to this that's really playing in more than maybe we think. Khan's pride has been hurt. His ego has been hurt. We all of us who are Jaguar fans have watched him come out with that sparkle in his eye and the big smile with the mustache, and sit here and tell us he got it right hiring Urban Meyer. And people believed him, and people bought into it. And it literally, I mean, I think I am not reaching when I say that Urban Meyer is the worst head coach hire the NFL has ever seen. Ever.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you could even Justin played with Petrino.
I was going to say, I might have a guy.
That's the only person I would have thought, maybe. Yeah.
But I mean, but think about it. It's not even as bad as Petrino.
Because there wasn't any off the field type shit going on. It was just, we fucking sucked. I mean, his life, kind of imploded later. Yeah. But at the time there was no,
motorcycle crash
shit going on, off the field.
It wasn't going viral.
Yeah, it was just a bad team.
So there have been bad coaches, but this is beyond bad. This is like, I mean, when you talk about a franchise being injured to a point of like complete irrelevance, potentially for, let's talk. When you talk about like the Browns, the Bengals, potentially like decades, this could damage this franchise. This is a team that, when you go down the history of the Jaguars, a lot of times the downfall of the teams that have been in Jacksonville, the teams that have fielded every year, a lot of times management has been a problem. Management has been something that has never been consistent. I had one, two, three. I played for 3 GMs. I played for 4 head coaches. I had 6 quarterbacks.
Christ.
There was never consistency. Even when we had success, the Jaguars found a way to fuck that up. Same way they did in 2017. They found a way to fuck up success in under 12 months.
Hey, it's because the same dumbass management we're talking about right now ran off our few good players we already had.
It's absolutely ludicrous. It doesn't make any sense that with all of the mistakes that we've seen where players have, it's almost like a broken record. We have success, we get rid of all the players that we had success with. We suck we have up and down seasons, then we suck, and then we have success, and then we get rid of all the players that we had that brought that success. This is a franchise that doesn't know how to handle being successful.
Yeah.
Doesn't know how to handle it. Arrogance sets in soon after success for the Jaguars, and then arrogance leads to mediocrity and irrelevance pretty quickly in fair order. But you can go around, and I'm going to pull up a few more articles here. Here's another article from the New York Post. The New York Post.
Damn.
Yeah. Everybody sees it. How come everyone can see this except for the owner of the team? Jaguars coaching search takes another pathetic twist. In true Jaguars fashion, the team apparently fumbled an opportunity to interview a candidate for its head coach opening following the firing of Urban Meyer. According to multiple reports, Jacksonville wants to interview Rams offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell in person, but they can't do it until after the Super Bowl on February 13th. The Jaguars did not include O'Connell on their list of candidates during the initial interview period, therefore delaying an opportunity to meet with him currently. And O'Connell is apparently a big fan of Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence, yada, yada there. They already, we talked about this stuff here with Doug Peterson and Rich Bisaccia.
So y'all missing out on this opportunity because of like a fucking paperwork mistake?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, man, it's dysfunction. That's why I'm saying them interviewing Doug Peterson. It's simply because they got caught with their pants down. That's the only reason he came back. And now if they end up hiring him, it's going to be even funnier because they wanted this guy in before Peterson, but they can't interview him because they didn't get him in that 2-week window.
Also, they didn't even have him. They didn't even have him on their list of candidates. So we're seeing people who are now being requested to be brought in who they never even they never even thought about these people. So it's like you don't even know who you want. You didn't even know who you want.
Right.
And the funny thing about O'Connell is they let this out at a terrible time. They should have waited until he lost to put out that they wanted to interview him. Now it comes out the day of the championship game that they want to interview him, and then he wins, and now we're just sitting here. Oh, we're gonna go look at Rich then.
Send us that interim guy, the interim coach.
Hey, who do you guys think leaked that at that certain time?
Baalke?
Trent Baalke. He's in his own way, and it doesn't even trip him up. He's a jackass. He doesn't do anything right. He's not a people person. M-Rob on NFL Network on Saturday got cut by him, went on to go be a Pro Bowler and win Super Bowls after being told he wasn't good enough to play in the league.
Yeah, told him he was a fourth down back at best.
Yeah,
a fourth level back, like a fourth string back,
fourth stringer. Yeah,
but it's funny too.
I talked to a player in the league today who's played under this O'Connell guy, and he said he's not really that impressive. Obviously, he has an impact on game planning, but he doesn't call the plays. And it's funny, the player actually talked about the law of probability with the head coach in Cincinnati, who wasn't expected to be good either because he's the same situation, ending up being good. There's absolutely no way this guy could end up being good. So if the Vikings go on and hire him, which is rumored, it'd be hilarious to I'm kind of interested to see what happens just because a player who's played for him and that's still currently in the league had that to say to me today. So I thought that made me laugh pretty good.
I mean, he doesn't have a good reputation. He just, I'm sorry, not O'Connell. I'm talking about Baalke. Baalke doesn't have a good reputation. So he's going to do everything he can to preserve his own well-being.
For sure.
He's going to put out news at odd times. Mm-hmm. He's going to, push back against hires. People have told me that he's leading Khan, not Khan,
100%.
Seeking advising from him. He's leading Khan.
And he could have put in a search firm because like the Bears, they had Bill Polian running their head coaching search. Like if Shad really did not want a part of this head coach search, he could have been hands off without having to say, okay, I have this guy already in the building. I'm just going to let him do it. And he's going to tell me what's going on. It's, like you said at the beginning of this show, there's not enough words to describe how dysfunctional this is.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
I think the Bears search is like perfect. They hired a firm, they ran their stuff, then they hired the team and the owners hired the GM. And then Ryan Poles went back and looked at the interviews of the people that had interviewed before he got there, and he brought a couple of them back, and he made his decision. And it was someone that I personally didn't want in Eberflus, but he went out there, saw his guy, attacked it, hired him, and it was like hired the GM, hired the head coach. They're putting a staff together right now. The Senior Bowl starts this week, tomorrow or something like that, and they're going to go down there and do what they're supposed to do. And what are the Jaguars doing? Sending an interim head coach a Zoom invite today.
This is fine.
Time, dude.
You're making this up, right?
No, fact.
They really,
dude. That's what that. But see, I heard that Khan's been doing the interviews on Zoom.
Dog,
that's what I heard.
This can't be life.
I heard he's been doing the interviews on Zoom. Like
he's in the Virgin Islands doing all this, right?
No, he's back in the States now. But yeah, he had a weekend off.
Dog.
Like it's crazy, man, and
y'all should get relegated.
If you look at
Nathaniel Hackett, his soccer team,
go to the fucking USFL or something.
Look at Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett was in Denver. The Jaguars wanted a second interview. They liked what they saw, and they were like, "No, here's your offer."
Yeah, don't let guys leave the fucking
your
building.
Offer.
But if you're on Zoom, I guess you can't do that.
And you know how they hire how they did their hiring process in Denver? It was a collective hire from PR people, from training staff. He had the owner of the estate that owns the Broncos.
Like the government.
They had like a group of like 10 people in the room during the interview who were all heads of departments in the Broncos, and they all had a piece of paper, and they were told to give a grade on the interview from 1 to 5. And that is how they came. And they took the day when they did the interview, they collected up all the grades, and then they made a decision on it. That night when he was supposed to go to Jacksonville the next day for a second interview. So it's a process that you have an entire brain trust of people whose well-being is dependent on the franchise succeeding. They're the ones who are making the decision, or who are helping make the decision for the franchise to bring in somebody. The Jaguars, their situation, because you have an absentee owner, essentially, the GM, who has largely been a part of the collapse of everything that's going on here, is responsible for making the hire. He's the one who has more leverage than anybody in this situation, but he's also the biggest problem of the entire franchise. He is the problem. So when he leaks out this statement or this quote to Adam Schefter talking about, if I'm the problem, I'll step aside, it's just fluff, because the dude literally, in an interview with multiple coaches, and one of them, and I won't even say that Byron, if you're going to rank these guys, I wouldn't say Byron is like the number one ranked candidate at the very beginning, because you had Jim Caldwell, who I think is another guy who would be an excellent hire because of his credentials as a head coach who's turned around franchises that have struggled. And he's proven that he's been successful in each of those ventures that he's had, both with the Colts and with the Lions. He has the pedigree to bring them back. But he's not coming here with Trent Baalke. So, while you can't necessarily have guys who have the kind of pedigree because they understand the league of the culture of the league, and they understand that a guy like him is not somebody you want behind you because he will stab you with a knife.
100%.
They want to have control over personnel, or they want to be able to bring in their own guy. And Byron Leftwich wants to bring in a guy like Adrian Wilson. Mm-hmm. And I mean, these are two guys who are groomed at this point to be ready to take on these positions. And of course, from what I've been told, Baalke tried to downplay the excitement that Byron Leftwich actually created in the interview.
Fact.
So that is, to me, he's shown who he is. Get him the fuck out. Like, we don't need him in Jacksonville. We don't need anybody who was a part of the decision-making process that led to Urban Meyer being the head coach and taking this franchise through the mud like they did this year. They need to be gone. You need to reset the franchise. And, if you can't see that as somebody who's an owner of a business and who's built his wealth the way he has, then maybe you should just sell the team.
Problem is somebody my fault. No, he's printing so much cash. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's making so much money. He's making a ton of money.
He bought the team for $700 and something million, like 770. And I think
779.
Yeah, the Forbes article I saw retweeted today is at 4-point-something billion.
God, yeah.
And that might have been his collective. That might be including Fulham or something. But still, it just shows you the kind of growth with no product on the field, just literally printing cash.
Is there anybody like that Shad Khan trusts that can get into his head and try to like mold his thoughts about anything, especially how bad Trent Baalke is? Or is like the only guy in the world that he trusts when it comes to football operations is Trent Baalke?
I have no idea. I mean, if you like listen to the rumors, he's not even listening to his son, who is a very smart individual who has done very successful things. Some people know, some people don't know. When he first did anything in the league, Tony Khan was in charge of helping with late round draft grades and undrafted free agents. Look at some of the best players that have been on the Jaguars recently. Yeah. So if we go all the way back, you got Mike Hilton. It didn't work out in Jacksonville, but where'd he go? He went to Pittsburgh, became a really good football player, and now he's playing for the Bengals, I believe. Who's the best player on the Jaguars offense right now? The running back, James Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years ago, maybe Gus Bradley's first year, number one receiver was Allen Robinson. Number two receiver was undrafted free agent Allen Hurns. Mm-hmm. These are all guys that Tony Khan literally pushed into the organization. And when you have UDFAs making plays from someone who's...
You win.
He's literally... If you got guys...
You win.
That's huge.
You're paying them nothing, and they're balling. James Robinson's making $500,000 with 1,000 yards rushing.
And if you got a guy who's smart enough to figure that out by crunching numbers, and you're not listening to him when it comes to completely resetting an organization and hiring a head coach and a GM, a reset that the Jaguars haven't done since Shad Khan hired Gus Bradley and Dave Caldwell.
Mike Mularkey.
well, he hired Mularkey, but when he got rid of both of those guys were 1-year carryovers. You know what I mean? Then they did their whole search. They hired Gus Bradley, and Dave Caldwell, and since then they've never fired the general manager and the head coach in the same year.
Yeah, and that's what we were so excited about last year. Because we were like, okay, brand new head coach, brand new GM, Trevor Lawrence coming in. We have like 5 picks in the first 65 selections, and then you hire Urban Meyer, and then you keep Trent Baalke. So it's like, okay, well, I guess we're not completely cleaning house. Right. He was just carrying over some of the trash that we had, and that's turned out to be the worst offseason ever.
And talk about those draft picks from 2022. For 2021. There's 2 of them that actually did anything. Trevor Lawrence, obviously, that was, look, a 5-year-old would have made that pick.
Right. You don't get any credit for that.
You don't get credit for that. But the rest of that draft class is just as soon irrelevant. Travis Etienne, he's got the Liz Frank injury. A Liz Frank injury puts your career
on the back
at complete, you're not making. At running
back, he was hoping to be back by training camp.
You won't. It doesn't matter if he comes back. He won't be the athlete he was because of it. And that caps you at about 3 or 4 years as a player.
It's already rough as hell as a running back. So
Yeah, there's a long list of players who on offense haven't come back from it and on defense have. So it doesn't really make me feel good about it. But I think the picks after that, Tyson Campbell ended up being a really good player at corner.
Campbell, yes. Campbell, Cisco.
And Walker Little. After that, you don't know. Well, I feel like Walker Little played really good in his last 2 games. You guys are offensive linemen. If you tell me he was terrible, I'm going to just tell everyone he was terrible. I ain't arguing with you at all. So, like, I don't, you know what I mean? When it comes to line talk, that's y'all's lane. But I feel like once he started using his hands, which he wasn't doing in preseason, we didn't see him much during the season. But when he came in towards the end of the season, he was dominating. I mean, he's got heavy hands, and he hadn't played for 2.5 years between COVID and an ACL injury. So to have success in the NFL, I mean, he was an early round pick, but I think the future's high, and I think that's why we're going to see Cam Robinson eventually walk. But that's for a whole nother day. My bad.
Oh,
Yeah, I think my
No.
big worry sometimes about just the rookie class is a lot of times it feels like we have some guys have actually kind of promising rookie seasons, kind of like Jawan Taylor and even like Laviska Shenault last year. And then it feels like the following year, they just never reach that potential back. And I don't know if it's because of just the organization and kind of the crappy,
inconsistent structure, like inconsistent offensive systems. Like
new offense.
Typically, you see your biggest growth from your first to second year.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make it's got to be an organizational type.
I mean, the Jaguars have had 5 different offense coordinators in the last 5 years. Every year they're just, and we're gonna get another one, unless we keep Darrell Bevel. Then I don't even want to go down that road. But yeah,
please don't. The games that I watched on TV this year, I was like, yo, you can't call game like this. You can't play football like this. You can't just run these basic plays. Where are the routes? Where are the reads? Where is the, where are the formations, the personnel groupings? Like, you should have one play that you can run out of 5 or 6 different personnel groupings with different motions, but these are things that keep defenses on their heels. These are things that look different on the field to them. So you can misdirect in that way if you have that kind of system, which most teams have some parts of their playbook that they put into, they put multiple plays in different formations and rinse them and repeat them, and maybe add a route to one for a run pass option, things like that. We used to do that in Jacksonville, where Dave Garrard had a check at the line where he could, we wouldn't even know if he had thrown the ball. We're running the run play, and he can throw it if he sees, that the defensive back's playing off. Then he just throws the slant instead of running the run. But, our offense looked so basic through the season. Like, there was nothing that really threatened defenses. And, you got to have that in the league now, because, the game is built for the offense to be successful.
Yeah, I think the most damning thing when it comes to Darrell Bevel is when he became the interim head coach, he called plays for 1 week. And then the last 2 weeks, I believe he didn't call the plays. Shoddy did. The offense got better. So when the dude who stops calling the plays becomes the head coach, and you're talking about hiring him when someone else did his job better than he did with the same dudes or less
failing upward.
Yeah, just like it's another sign of incompetence, and unfortunately, that's why I think it's possible, because he's someone who would probably work under Trent Baalke.
Yeah.
Makes perfect
I got some
sense
super
now.
chats here. Let me go through some of these super chats, and we'll jump back in and just wrap things up, talking a little bit about what we kind of expect moving forward. But we got Charlie here. Charlie Petla. Sorry if I said that wrong. I think I had him on here before. Didn't expect the Jags to make this be as painful as my cancer treatment.
Oh, golly.
Woo! If it's that bad, man, no. But hey, one thing? You made it. You made it through it. So we'll make it through it too.
Hopefully, y'all will be
Appreciate
so
that
lucky.
super chat. Yeah. Appreciate that. Also, Dan loves Jaguars for $5 says, when does Trevor ask for a trade? He deserves better. I think that's something that is like the extreme scenario. That is like a last resort.
Trevor is my only source of optimism right now. If the Jags didn't have Trevor Lawrence, I don't know how I could talk myself about this team.
Without saying too much, if shit hits the fan this offseason, get ready for next offseason.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that might be sooner than you think.
Yeah, it's just
on this path.
You better hope he's happy by the time they start playing football, because you don't deserve it.
You can't afford to wait 2 years at the beginning of his career. All these other cats are going to surpass him.
Yeah, he's trying to get paid that big quarterback money. He's got to have the stats by year 3.
Yep.
I mean, look, I was on 1010XL and they asked me about I talked about Trevor Lawrence. He's in a tough position because, knowing what we know about Shad Khan, there's not anything that Trevor Lawrence can say to Shad Khan that's going to make him change what he's doing at this point. He can't go up there and say, "Hey, man, y'all need to get rid of this cat," or what? I mean, or what? You know what I mean? He's going to come in hot with his guns blazing. Khan, man, I think we really got to get rid of Baalke, man, or what? Or what? That's what he's going to say. And what's he going to say back to him? Yeah, you're locked in for 4 years, son.
Team option. Get the hell off my Zoom call.
Take your ass back to the damn locker room. That's what's going to happen. He ain't moving the needle.
I'm throwing 40 picks here for. Get me out of here.
I would not expect him to be that guy to move that needle. On a frame, as a young player who just had his rookie season, didn't really have a rookie season. It was bad. Not to his, wasn't his fault necessarily, but this is where you have veteran leadership that could step up to the plate and apply pressure to the owner. Now, that's a risky thing to do, because if you draw his ire, you're gonna be fucked. But the Jags just don't have. I don't think that they have the number of veteran players that you would need who have the kind of who have been there a while, who've been there long enough to say, "Hey, look, Shad, we've been here, we've been fighting it with you. We need to do this, man. We the players want this." Like, you don't have a Mike Peterson, you don't have you have a Miles Jack, but I mean, Miles Jack he's wondering, I'm sure, where his place is in the franchise at this point.
He's not Mike P from a vocal standpoint either.
He's not Mike P. He can't come up and start talking. Right. He's not he's not a Paul Spicer or a Big John Henderson, who, if he goes up into that room and with a couple of guys and says, "Hey, man, like, we feel like things need to change a little bit," the coach, the owner will be like, "Okay, let's sit down, let's talk about it." That's not going to happen with the team that we have right now. So it's all Shad's show. Yeah. And it's a shit show.
And I'm not sure, though, if Trevor did go to Kismet, the super yacht in the St. John's. He met with Shad and told him that it was time for Urban to walk when it happened. Yeah. So he did. I feel like he's already done enough as a leader, as a rookie.
Yeah, but look, saying it's time for Urban to walk, based all things considered, on what that motherfucker had done to that team, fair. That wasn't something that he hadn't already known was it was time to do.
That's fair.
He knew it was time for that.
But you'd think at this point, with all this stuff dropping about Baalke, I mean, the writing should be on the wall, but even that's not getting to him.
It's just it's complicated because, again, like, this is a single guy who owns the team, and he's got an ego. That's what we know. We see that. Like, he prided himself on the decisions that he made when he hired Urban Meyer, and a lot of people bought into that, and it was a farce. It was something that just fell apart almost immediately, and now he has to swallow that pill, and he has to face the music. He has to pay the piper. But as long as he can hang on, Trent Baalke, like, someone hit me on Twitter today, and they told me, and this is somebody who I don't know the person, but they're a very attentive Niner fan, and they said our situation is the same as theirs was when they had him in San Francisco. He wrapped the owner around his finger and manipulated how the owner made decisions. And that's what led to Jim Harbaugh getting fired. Every single coach he has been under, that he's had under him, has been fired in the last 5 years. All of them. So he doesn't have a record of success, and there are people who just generally they don't like him. He doesn't have a good reputation at all as a person in the NFL.
Yeah, I heard as a client he has non-value because the next time he gets fired, he'll never have a job in the NFL again from an agent.
And that's what he's holding on to. That's why he's fighting tooth and nail to keep this job, because he knows
he's the snake emoji.
Yeah, this is it. He's the snake emoji. This is it for him. I mean, look, and I just got to wonder where does Shad really? I mean, personally, you have to think to yourself, look, my peers are laughing at me. The other owners are laughing at me. The media is laughing at me. They're not even talking about. They say the Jaguars, but then they say Shad Khan. So it is falling on his shoulders to actually make a decision that makes football sense. And I mean, look, it's a risk to hire Byron Leftwich. It is. There's a risk to that because he hasn't been a head coach, and he'll bring in a GM who hasn't been a GM. There's an inherent risk to that. But that's a risk that I think everybody is willing to take at this point. I think everybody is comfortable with taking that risk because we were looking at the Cincinnati Bengals in Ohio who made it work in 2 seasons. Yeah. And they had the same, and they were sitting in the same boat we're kind of sitting in right now. So, that's that. But
I mean, if Shad brings in Byron Leftwich and Adrian Wilson, we don't even need him at the intro press conference. Look, Shad, you can go on your boat. We don't need you from here. You don't have to face the embarrassment. Yeah, you can send Tony, because just last year, like Uche was saying earlier, man, he said, I got it right this time, with a big fat smile on his face. And if he were to come out there this year and have Baalke on one side of him and Rich Buddha, whatever his name is for the Raiders, on the other side of him, there's no way he can sit there and be proud of himself and look at Jaguars fans in the eye and act like he reeled in a big fish and he nailed it.
We're gonna find success.
I did it again.
Yeah. I did it again. I got it right this time, guys.
Look at me.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, and it's tough because, as a former player, I'm a Jaguar. Like, and even I didn't grow up a Jaguars fan, but I always, I can remember back in college, I was like, man, that Jaguars look all right. Because there was a certain kind of identity about the team. It's like a Pittsburgh style team in that traditional Pittsburgh sense. So when I got drafted, I was like, shit, hell yeah. And even in the rough times when we had a couple of really bad seasons, I was like, shit. I mean, I hated being with Malarkey, but I love being a Jaguar. So as a retired player now, it's like, I want this team to do good. I want them to do good. Like, it's part of me is there on that field. It's been out there for 7 years. Shit. Do good. Like, just do the basics right. Just the basics. Shit.
We're dead ass looking for competence. We're not even looking for 500. I just want it to look like you know what the fuck you're doing. That's it. That's all I need.
That's all we're looking for. We got another super chat here from Dan. Love Jaguars, $5. When? Oh wait, I already read that one. Hayden Burke, use this money towards buying out Gene and Baalke.
Gene, take a few more commas than that.
Yeah, give me 4 more commas and we can talk. Let's see. We got Kiefer Woods for $4.99. He says, "How do we get Uche's name in the GM running? I feel like Uche could do a better job than Baalke without even breaking a sweat. I've already broken a sweat, and I can." No, I mean, look, man, I'm not, former players, I've been back to a couple games in Jacksonville, and I had thought about asking to interview for the O-line coach job at one point a couple years back, and I just thought to myself, like, in this whole experience that I've had coming back to Jacksonville, 2 times I went back, they never really took care of them. I never really felt like these motherfuckers gave a damn about. They put my parking spot for the game like half a mile away or a mile away from the stadium. Me and Big John Henderson are just like holding on to each other, crutching up there like, oh, no, it's hot as shit. Oh, my knees are hurting. Big John's got a cane. He's walking with a cane. His family's with him. They treating this dude like he ain't shit, which means they don't got no culture in Jacksonville for their former players. And I don't want to be a part of that.
Wow.
I've seen teams that have culture with their former players, that their former players are in the building. They're part of the franchise. Truly. They
100%.
work with the team. They take care of these guys as soon as they retire. And Jaguars did none of that. They didn't even, when I got released from the Jags, they called me when I was in Atlanta. It's not like they actually I didn't even see their faces. So to me, I don't, what I've learned from the game, the people that taught me the game, the coaches that I was so grateful to have, like Andy Heck, who's in Kansas City right now, those dudes are geniuses in football. And they've given me all the knowledge I have about football. And, while I know I could easily be an offensive line coach in the NFL, I would never do it for the Jaguars unless I really felt like there was some kind of genuine want for it, because they don't take care of their former players. Keenan McCardell, who was part of the growth that guys like Alan Hearns and Allen Robinson had as players, even to an extent, what was his name? Marquez Lee.
Yeah, Marquise Lee.
Yeah.
Marquise Lee. They got rid of him.
Yeah.
They got him out the building. Like, when you're getting guys like that out the building, I don't want nothing to do with it.
It's funny. It's funny you talk about Andy Heck. I was at a charity event or food drive or something. I was talking to Richard Collier, and he was talking about how awesome of a coach Andy Heck was, and like as a relationship kind of guy, always there for you. And like no matter what, he was, even if he was getting in your ass, it was about like literally just trying to make you a better person. Which at the end of the day,
yes.
And as a whole, we talk about it a lot on my podcast. What you were talking about with the Jaguars don't have culture. When you guys come back for your one game where we, celebrate the ex-players, it's always in week 13 when the Jaguars are 2 and 11. No one gives a shit at this point. And don't you dare ask for tickets for your family.
Don't you dare.
No. If they're coming, they better be paying. There's no culture in Jacksonville. I've heard many stories.
None.
I've tons of stories. Roy Miller is one of my homies. We talk about
Big Roy,
Jacksonville.
yeah.
And it just, I don't blame you. You're in Atlanta. Why would you want to waste 12 hours of travel in a car or 2 hours of travel at the airport to come be treated like you said,
Like,
you're just like, oh, sick. You played for the Jags, sick, dude. That's what's up. It just doesn't in Jacksonville at the stadium. You should never be treated like that. And they should do it to everybody. But dude, you were fucking good. I don't understand.
Yeah, I was like, I got 100 starts in this motherfucker. Like,
right.
What the fuck is going on? And I talked to, and I went up and this was so crazy to me because I go up into the stadium. Me and Big John have to a fucking janitor guy came out and was like, "Man, that's Big John. Let these boys in, bro," because they wouldn't let us in. I'm like, bro, this is the only door I ever been through at this building. I don't know where the other doors go. You know what I mean? I don't know where the other doors go to, but we go in and I get up to the VIP, to the VIP section, quote unquote, because the shit was just standing room only. There's not even any chairs in this fucking area. But and I'm talking to guys that were my teammates. You know what I mean? And I'm asking them because I'm like trying to prod a little bit to see, do I want to kind of make a push to see if I can come up here and coach with these guys? And these are just Legends guys that I'm talking to about how they run the Legends program. They don't even get paid. I was like, they're not putting money in your hands.
Here's your polo.
Yeah, here's your fucking polo. Go greet people and sign shit. I didn't even go to the signing stuff. I was like, shit, motherfuckers, y'all ain't gonna pay me $2,000 if you want me to go do the signing. Shit, y'all got me messed up. I didn't even go to the signing stuff.
Y'all
signing stuff was before the game.
Out the goodness of your hearts.
Yeah, they was like, do it out the. Yeah, that's literally what it was, and I was like, no. I'm not that nice.
Right. You don't know my heart, obviously.
You don't know for real because of what? Like, you think I'm gonna play for y'all for free? No. So why would I do all this stuff y'all want me to do? Walking around in this heat, 300 pounds heat.
I can't.
Just come on. I'm not doing it. It ain't gonna happen. So that's when I was like, I looked at Sammy Starks like, they ain't paying y'all. He's like, well, if you do enough, if you go to enough signings and do enough appearances, then that puts you in the tier where you can get considered
y'all on a
to do
multi-level
something
marketing
for like,
scheme.
$1,500. I'm like, motherfuckers.
It's like you're going to a sub shop buying subs trying to get your free 10th sub.
Exactly. Like you got to stamp holes on a ticket. That's how many appearances you made this month. So next month we can put you in for the $500 appearance. Like
being a Jaguars alum is literally just one of those like pyramid schemes.
This is fucking nuts. I cannot believe this.
Dude, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I was like, I'm not even staying the whole game because I looked up and it was like second quarter and we were already down 2 touchdowns. I was like, yeah, I'm all right.
I've never been to an alum. Yeah, I'd never been to an alumni game where at halftime it was within 2 scores. No one fact checked me.
It was crazy, dude.
It's true.
It was crazy. I'd never, it was kind of disheartening because I was like, damn, man, like I've been to, I've talked to cats who play, Cliff Averill with the Seahawks, fucking, Anthony Spencer with the Cowboys, like Stu Schweiger with the Raiders. Like these cats are still being like, they're still able to go there and the team will bring them in, will pay them to come. They'll do their legend shit. They'll have them come like every 2 or 3 games to, and have them be out there just on the practice field just to see what's going on. They can talk to guys if they want. And everyone in that building remembers them.
It's not difficult. It really isn't.
It's not hard, dude. And I was just like, if y'all can't do that, then fuck y'all. I ain't coming back. Shit. And don't ask me to come back neither, because I'm not doing it. And this year, I thought about going, but I was like, yeah, fuck that shit. I'm not going.
You know what?
So now look at you. Best decision you made all year.
Yeah, it was. Because I was like, man, because when I went, the last 2 times I went, they paid for like a hotel for a night. But I mean, I'm like, I'm staying there. I'm going to stay for the weekend. So I'm going to come in on Friday. And I had to pay for my own hotel on Friday. Then they paid for the hotel on Saturday. Like I spent my gas money driving down, and, I went and saw the people I knew that were still in the city. I went and saw them, went and, hung out with them and showed love. And anybody that I seen that recognized me, I showed them love. But I didn't see a damn person from the Jaguars at all. So I was like, I'm good on that. All right, we got another super chat here. Nick Ludwig, are the rumors that Shad gave Baalke a week to find a better candidate than Leftwich true? What you know about that, Dilla?
So there was a rumor that Trent Baalke was told, you got to have a coach hired by X day, and if you don't, you're the one who's going to be shown the door. Haven't been able to confirm that anywhere though to know if it's true.
So he must need like reasons to get rid of cats. Just like it's almost a parody because look, man, I'll tell you this. When Urban Meyer got hired, I said when they hired him, the moment I saw that was the hire, I said, this is going to be a disaster. I posted it on everything I knew. Posted it on Twitter, posted it on Facebook. People were coming in my throat from Jacksonville. And I was like, listen, he is not going to do well in the NFL because in college, you're a dictator. You are the head of the program and you're unquestioned in everything you do. You are able to bully people. You're able to manipulate. You're able to cover up, which he's done all of those in college. And that does not work in the NFL. In the NFL, you will be exposed because these are men, one, who are being paid a lot more money than you, usually, the top players, the core players, and they are really the assets. They're the most valuable things to the franchise. You are expendable once you get to a certain point.
Big difference.
And when this guy, first off with the hires he made, I was like, this dude does not know what he's doing. He's getting guys who weren't shit in what they did. And what is he expecting these guys to just go out and win? And when week 4 came, and funny enough, ironically, we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals game, a game where the team that is now in the Super Bowl played to the end of the game with the Jaguars, where you could have, that would have been a game where if you were looking at it before with nothing else considered, you say, damn, the Jaguars are making they're starting to make some progress.
Facts.
They're looking like a team that is starting to come together. They played well on defense. They played well on offense. They lost the game late. Urban Meyer puts on this fucking mask as if he's somehow heartbroken that they lost. and he does something that is unprecedented in the NFL, and he doesn't fly back with his team.
Yep.
Right there. I mean, I swear to God, when I saw that the next day, I said, oh, he's getting fired today. He's getting fired. It's guaranteed. There's no way. And I've never in my entire career of football, neither is Justin, nobody has ever seen a situation where the head coach didn't even fly back with us.
Yeah, can you imagine that meeting on Monday? Like, what the?
Not only the meeting on Monday. First, I want to say, Urban Meyer asked someone if he thought it would be okay if he stayed in Ohio. Who do you guys think he asked?
It was
Trent Baalke. They said
Trent
Baalke said he could do
Trent
it.
Baalke told him it was okay to stay, and then he got fucking filleted.
No, he just Trent Baalke's so good at not having him as the biggest target in the building.
Right. So
he's
not
an
only
expert
that
at
though, he stays in Ohio. He goes to that bar, and then he gets caught fingering that chick in the butt all in the same 5 days, dude. Trent Baalke told dude it was good to stay. He got flamed in the media. Then he got flamed for that. And that was like you just said, Uche. That was the beginning of the end.
Bruh.
And
Look, I've seen scenarios where players have like a death in the family.
Yep.
They played in the game, and now after the game, they want to go fly home to go, get for the funeral, whatever it may be. Coaches will say, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. They'll leave from wherever we're playing at if it's an away game, or they'll fly, or, if it's a home game, you just leave from this home city. But I've seen like 2 scenarios where that's happened, and that's fair. That's fair. That's always going to be allowed by an organization if there's a personal matter of that nature. Yes, you can leave and go and come back on. You'll be back either that night or Monday night. You might not make the meetings on Monday, but you'll be back and ready for Wednesday. The head coach, my guy, do you know what that makes you out to be to your players when they find that not only that you didn't fly back and then nobody found out and you just
trivial bullshit just to hang out, and
you didn't fly back, then you went viral, motherfucker. Like
I could, if I could stay at every road game and chase pussy, like I would never be at Monday meetings ever.
I would have loved to follow him around that day when he came back to Jacksonville after that video, man. I cannot imagine how hilarious that was when he was talking to players and stuff like that.
He talked to players separately.
Individually.
And position groups.
Yep, by position.
And he was laughed out of the room.
Every single group walked out of the meeting and laughed at his ass. They said at that point in the year, everyone either hated him or laughed at him every day. He didn't have any true group of players on his side, except probably Andrew Wingard.
Trevor Lawrence wasn't even on his side. This motherfucker would they'd be asking him questions. He started looking like,
my mom said,
I just
nice to say.
Just focused on next week,
And the greatest ending is the kicker rising from the dead and putting the axe in his throat.
Oh, Josh Lambo, where'd he come from? Yeah, that fucker kicked me.
Oh my
God, that's Josh Lambo's music. No, it's just crazy.
It was like tonight at 9, dude. The Josh Lambo got kicked story on First Coast News.
It was so serious.
It was like a sit down, like he was like talking to a therapist, dude. That was the most hilarious thing.
The deep gulp before he said that he got kicked is the funniest shit I've seen on TV all year.
He kicked me.
He kicked
in
me.
my hurt leg.
They have fucking Gail King do the interview. Jesus.
And it wasn't like a hey buddy, make your kicks.
It was like, make your fucking kicks, you fucking kicker.
Oh,
it's like,
so
geez, Herb. Then Herb's like, his recollection of the events is not consistent with mine.
No, we're gonna look back in this 10 years from now and be like, that did not all just happen. Like, it happened so quick in such a short time, all this Urban Meyer stuff. We're not gonna believe this in 10 years that this all happened.
Oh man, people, you'll tell somebody, you'll tell your grandkids, like, hey, look, son, Jags aren't so bad. There was a time when we had a guy named Urban Meyer. You want me to tell you a little story about him? Yeah, he got caught playing the finger dues with the girl's bottom side in Ohio. Didn't fly back with the team, kicked a kicker, hired a racist. Yeah, just they're only 3-14 just for a little bit now.
Hey, also that hired the racist. That was also another thing that was pushed initially by Trent Baalke. It's so funny.
Oh my God, the Missouri guy who totally
Iowa, yeah, the Iowa,
Iowa, yeah,
coach.
Iowa,
Yeah.
who totally talked some sly shit to his players, and they came out and said it. And this was literally like the day after he hired him. They're like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to resign because we can't have you in here."
Yeah, it's real funny when they released that first statement that he had resigned. It was just Urban Meyer's name, maybe Shad Khan, but I think it was just Urban Meyer's name. And the Jaguars pulled the apology and added Trent Baalke's name to the second release.
Bitch, it was you too.
That's it. Yeah, they literally made that on social. Like social media was like, oh yeah, like the team was like, yep, put him in there too. So
yeah,
I mean, he's a scumbag, man. We all see it.
We were just hoping that we would get out of Urban Meyer. We were like, okay, he's an asshole, but he wins. And we got the worst version of Urban Meyer without any of the W's.
I'm telling you, man, look, the W's weren't his in college. So that was just the players. Like, think about it, man. Ohio State.
He never really turned the program around.
Yeah, like what? You think Ohio State's not going to be ranked number 2 or number 1 next year? Like, that's just how they are. They get
this Jaguar job really hurt his legacy. Yeah.
Oh, it did. Yeah, absolutely.
Because now people are like, wait a second. Yeah, he had a shit ton of players. He was an excellent dictator. He was really good at telling other people what to do and intimidating other people. And now it's all out in the open. Now, I don't know, especially this last year, there were so many great college football openings. I don't know if any college team is going to want to touch him anymore based on kind of what's known about him now.
Give him a few years.
They'll forget.
He'll find a nice warm spot at like Oregon State.
Oh God.
Terminal Sports. Oh, go ahead. No,
I was going to say that the broadcasting job seems so cushy.
Oh, it is.
He couldn't leave well enough alone.
Like, why don't guys stick with that shit?
Bro, yeah, let me
I
talk
don't know
to
why.
TV for millions. Holler at me. Anyone?
Yeah,
for 100,000.
Go do a fucking production meeting, twice a week.
Make
a couple funny jokes and some hot takes. I'm in there for $500,000, $1 million. Fucking kidding me? I don't have no pressure to win ever.
No, yeah. It's like people, they want like Daniel Jeremiah to be their next GM. It's like, why would Daniel Jeremiah want to leave the cushy little podcast he has where he can have wrong takes and people still love him and people still think he's a genius? I mean, and plus all the hours you have to put in, I can never understand and comprehend it.
Yeah, being a pro mock drafter's got to be the best job on earth. There's no accountability in it. It's awesome.
Oh, man, none whatsoever. And I mean, look, with a situation like Urban Meyer's where you kind of find out who he really is, the NFL exposed that he doesn't really know a lot about football. He doesn't really know a lot about the actual nuance of football. He only knows about general cliches of, 50 years ago that people like Paul Bear Bryant used to use to get guys motivated. If you're going to be a man, you got to be willing to make this a brotherhood. Like, come on. We all know that about football. Like, he doesn't really talk about X's and O's ever because he doesn't know X's and O's. He's just a purely CEO style, give me my money and I'll get you a profit kind of guy. But he don't even get you a profit. Net loss all the way around.
Just Googled a bunch of football movies to get his.
Yeah, he's pulling out Remember the Titans quotes and shit and team meetings. Boy, I would laugh my ass off if he did some shit like that. Boy. But we got another one here from Terminal Sports for $5. Terminal Sports, what's up, man? He says, if the Jags fail the draft, just gift Lawrence to the Falcons for a 4th round and magic beans.
Hey, bring him on.
Hey, Trevor Lawrence with the Falcons might be nasty with Pitts.
I'm about to say, that's going to be a hell of an offense.
Ooh.
Who gets the magic beans? I'm in.
I never understood, why the Jags didn't draft a tight end. I would use that 1st round pick that they used on Travis Etienne. I would have got a tight end for Trevor Lawrence. Every quarterback needs a good tight end.
I wish that was the most puzzling thing about the Jaguars, but just add that to the list.
Just remember, too, when it comes to the tight end before the draft, they really wanted Jonnu Smith, who ended up in New England, and they wanted Hunter Henry, who ended up in New England. So it's like they knew, like, we knew in free agency what player we were taking in the draft because we had the first overall pick, and they didn't do anything to support him. And that's, again, Trent Baalke continuing to fuck over the Jaguars over and over and over and over again, all over the place.
And you know, it's so crazy. He probably feels like he's got this shit completely under control. He's like, I got everything locked down. Khan's on my side. You'll never get rid of me, Duval.
Here for life.
Like, I'm here for life, son.
It's like the fucking meme with the dog. He's like, oh, I'm fine with the fire.
Yeah, the whole stadium's on fire, and he's just stretching. Oh, this is good.
I'm fine.
I'm good here.
I got this.
I got it all under control.
I mean, he's got the owner around his finger, so.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Because when that Niners fan told me that, I was like, oh, well, yeah. Because I mean, look, I've talked to somebody who has a direct line to Shad Khan, and he was telling me, dude, I don't know what it is, but he loves this guy. He loves
probably
him.
More than his son.
I mean, he will listen to him before he listens to his son. That's for sure. But that's crazy, man. Like, this is supposed to be somebody, and not taking away from what he's done in his time as a businessman, but this is a guy who has amassed a fortune based on making good decisions and making, and reading the room. And yes, you don't know shit about football, but my guy, read the room at least. Try. Nobody want this guy. Full Metal Jacket for $5 says, when Shad Khan and the Clown Out makes headlines and Dan Snyder and Jerry Jones is a page 3 story, that's bad. Yeah, I mean, Dan Snyder's like, appreciate it. Nobody's talking about my stadium that's falling apart as we speak.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. We got Ryan Temples, $10. He says, besides Byron, who do you want for head coach? I think that's a good question to ask. When and like I said before, I wouldn't say that Byron would be the top choice if you go back to the beginning and look at the field, look at what the Jaguars were intending to the guys they were intending to interview going into the offseason. They got 2 weeks. They were actually able to speak with teams 2 weeks earlier than last year. They changed that rule in the NFL to allow teams that are in situations like the Jags to start talking to guys early every year, get things in order so that you can get your head coach hired quickly. Because, look, you don't want to wait too long because you got the combine coming up, and you got the draft coming up. There's going to need to be staff hirings that are going to need to be done. You may be replacing scouting personnel as well. So there's going to be like a huge turnover that needs to happen quick so you can begin focusing on the next phases of the NFL calendar, because it is phases. And phase 1 is combine and draft, then OTAs, then training camp, then season. That's the calendar. And I had 2 candidates in my mind, and you guys we can talk about this for a moment. You guys can each tell me kind of what you were leaning towards when this whole thing started. When the whole thing started and they listed candidates that were out there, honestly, I thought Jim Caldwell was the guy to pick. I thought this is the guy you need to bring in to be the head coach if you want this team to have a chance at a quick turnaround, because he's done that like multiple times. He had the Lions 2 seasons as a winning head coach with the Lions, winning head coach with the Colts. The guy understands how to motivate men, how to lead them, and how to be a motivator to his staff, because it bears fruit during the season. Byron Leftwich to me was more of I thought that would be an excellent hire for a new head coach, like a new, freshly minted head coach who first time as a head coach. I thought he deserved that. If they weren't going to pick somebody who was already a head coach, he deserved that because he has the advantage of having been under tutelage of about the best combination of head coach and quarterback that you could really ask for. Because even though Tom Brady was a player, Tom Brady's like a player coach in a certain regard. So you're going to learn things about the game from him that you didn't know before. Yeah. And you had Bruce Arians as well. So for me, that was my 1-2. I would have went Caldwell, and then if not Caldwell, then Byron would have been the first up in terms of a candidate for me that I would, if I want a new hire. That's how I looked at it. How did you guys see it?
I had it the same exact way, actually. Caldwell was my number one choice, and it was because he was successful with Peyton Manning. Joe Flacco's best years in Baltimore came under him, and then look what he did with Stafford. And like you said, not only was Stafford good, but they won. They won in Detroit. If you can win in Detroit, you can win in Jacksonville.
Yeah, if you can win in Detroit, you damn sure can win anywhere. That's true.
For sure. So I think that's why I really wanted him. And then almost for the same exact reasons as you said, when you got a guy who spends time not just talking about football, but learning football and going over your game plan and what you're attacking with your scheme that week, having someone who understands how Tom Brady analyzes football, not just how he plays the game, but how he actually analyzes in the room on the whiteboard. It's a invaluable asset that Leftwich has that not very many people do have. So I like you said, if we went the experience route, and which I would have preferred them to do was, run it with Caldwell. And it looks like maybe it could happen. That's an interesting name actually to listen out for tomorrow. That's all I'll say. And then, like you said, Byron Leftwich right there the second. And then when it shifted to Byron, all my excitement went to Byron because even though I had him as like option 2, I'm juiced about it because for every reason you said, he has that old school swag or the old school football mentality, real relationship guy, but he has the new school swagger to kind of, make it all mesh together.
Yeah, and I'm kind of along the same lines as you guys, except my number 1 was Doug Peterson going through just because, former quarterback, he was also a guy that, he won a Super Bowl, and he did have a development of a rookie quarterback on his resume. But I thought one interesting thing about it was he also went through a dysfunctional front office. And unfortunately for him, he was on the wrong side of that, and he got let go because ownership and the GM were trying to meddle in his, in his coaching search. He wanted an offensive coordinator, and the GM and owner said, no, you can't do that. And they just wound up shaking hands, and he kind of went on his business. So I thought kind of bringing in a guy like him to potentially, help lead a GM search and all that stuff, I thought that would have been beneficial for our situation. Just having a guy that, he was a part of a pretty bad front office, and he knows kind of about that. But yeah, once it should, and I was a little bit worried about the Byron thing just from a perspective of, okay, does this make sense, or is it all a nostalgia thing? You know what I mean? Yeah. But now that the arguments are out there, now that he's become like a front runner, we've all rallied, and it does seem to make a lot of sense to bring him in here, even though for never been a head coach or anything. But every team out there, you got to take risks. There's no hire that's really super unrisky. Look at all the Final Four head coaches out there. They're all pretty much first-time guys. So, yeah, you got to risk it to get the biscuit. And yeah, that's where I was at.
Head coaches that are available for a reason.
Yeah.
I wanted Mike McCarthy for you guys just so I can get him out of Dallas.
Y'all stuck with that guy. Hey, he almost got fired this year, huh? That was close.
His staff almost got picked apart.
Yeah,
they thought about it for. Jerry must have thought about that for maybe a minute or two. You know what, man? I don't know if I want this son bitch run my team no more.
Well, you never know if Dan Quinn and the young offense coordinator Kellen Moore, if they had maybe they would have been in a situation kind of like the Bucs were back in the day when Dirk Cutter was potentially getting another head coaching job, and they were like, nope, no, Lovey, you're out of here. We're gonna keep this guy in here. You never know. Maybe something like that might have happened.
Hey man, Dirk Cutter as an offense coordinator. That's all I got to say. Y'all had him in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Shit.
I had him for a couple
that
years.
Dude's offense was his offensive package as a coordinator. The way he game planned. This dude was a beast. That's why I was like, that's why in Jacksonville, I was like, man, we're gonna be good forever. After my rookie year, I was like, because this dude's this stuff is cold. He has a great mind for football. But maybe, it's different as a head coach. So maybe in his situation as a head coach didn't work out necessarily, or maybe his timing was a little bit off. He should have been the head coach a few years later. He would have had, a little bit different roster, and that would have maybe played into, the Bucs rising up further than they did under him. But, nonetheless, I would still rather that the Jaguars find somebody who makes sense for where this franchise is trying to go. And I don't even think that they know what that is yet, which is part of why nothing seems to make any sense, because we don't even know. Like, you usually would have a direction. I want an offensive coach. I want a defensive coach. I want a coach who can specialize in building the culture, because you got to have that. That's one thing you got to have as a head coach if you're coming into a new a team in this situation. A new culture needs to be built, and that culture, if you haven't done that before, then that's something that can be very, it can be a slippery slope on getting that right. And that's why I felt like Urban Meyer was such a bad decision, because he doesn't have any experience in building a team's culture. The team's already had 100 years of tradition behind him before he got there. Like,
he was always winning when he got there.
Yeah, they were already winning.
And he usually left them in shambles. Maybe not wins and losses, but
structurally, and everybody's peace of mind was utterly destroyed. So, All right, we got another super chat here from Blake Wright. Khan can't admit he is wrong about Urban and Baalke. I just don't think he can take it. His ego is the size of the Kesmet. Hey, man, there's truth to that. I think, you're a billionaire who has done nothing but be successful in the course of your life. You've had nothing but yes men surrounding you through the course of your life. Nobody has shown you, nobody has resisted your decision making. Nobody has questioned your decision making. And now here you are at a junction in your career, and you are being drug like a dirty carpet through the rain, and your franchise is literally the punchline now, and that's gotta take a chunk out of him. I think it's got to take a chunk out of him.
I just can't imagine, this dude has to go to owners meetings every year, and he is constantly the biggest loser in those meetings. I mean, I come last place in fantasy and I feel ashamed. I just don't understand how this guy can keep showing his face, and it's just it's fine. It's fine.
They all love him because they know he's not a threat. They're like, oh, look, it's our favorite guy. Win. We beat his ass every time we play him.
Free win. Or get right game.
Hey, Dr. Shad Khan here to fix your problem.
Hey, that's what them Colts thought, though.
Well, yeah, but we beat the Colts in Jacksonville every year. That ain't even impressive.
That's
I knew we were winning that game as soon as
I knew we were winning that game as soon as as soon as they were like, oh, they got to get in the playoffs by beating the Jaguars, and everybody's like, oh, that should be hard. I'm like,
nope.
I didn't Duval, you ain't, motherfucker. Maybe in Indy y'all got it, but
hey,
I didn't Duval.
Before that game, people were like, how long you stay? And I was like, bro, we're playing the Colts. We're all staying the whole goddamn game. They're like, you think so? I'm like, bro, we're gonna be here the whole time. Sure enough, W. Funny,
crazy, man. And again, it's like he's an absentee owner, so it's hard for him to accept such vitriol from the fan base because he hasn't been around to see it fester and see it grow and see it just swell up. And then, people like to say, oh, well, it's the players that play the game. But I mean, but the players need to be in position, and the people who are responsible for putting them in positions to be successful are the coaches. And the coaches, they have to be reinforced by the head coach, and the head coach has to be reinforced by the GM, and the GM has to be reinforced by the owner. And if none of that is there, then everything will fall apart because nobody's backing anybody. Everybody's fighting for themselves. I mean, shit. Urban Meyer was like, fuck you guys, you losers. You guys never win.
What have you done?
Keep getting away with this.
What the fuck have you done? You hired me. You knew what I did.
Hey, man, when I read that he said that, I bust out laughing. I said, oh, my God.
You knew
He's telling the guys that he hired, fuck off.
You knew I couldn't win a damn thing.
You knew I hired me.
Honestly, looking back, it was probably Baalke hiring everybody.
It probably was, dude. I wouldn't doubt it. Nathan Garganta, $4.99. Appreciate that. Another one from Nathan, because I guess he wanted to put a message on that first one. Does Shad even know how disliked Baalke is in the NFL community? I mean, I don't think he cares. Yeah, I don't think he does, because
there's no way he doesn't know. I mean, there were clown articles coming out, and everybody let the right is telling him, but he hasn't done anything. I mean, he's not that tone deaf. You know, I mean, I have people that know nothing about the Jaguars text me about the clown stuff. You know what I mean? I don't think he cares.
I wore clown paint for that Colts game. I did a live stream in clown paint for that Colts game, just to show my solidarity with the community, because, you know, I've been through it. I've been through it personally in the organization, and it's not a good feeling, man. It's as much as the fans hate it right now. Look, the players feel it just as much, and I don't think a lot of those guys can come out and say it, because none of them is sitting on a nice contract except for one guy. You know what I mean? Like, when I was in Jacksonville, guys would, we would get together in groups and talk shit, and then we'd anoint one guy and be like, you got to go up there and say it. And then that guy would go up there and say it. And then, we see what happens from there. Usually be the QB. We'd be like, motherfucker, you got a 6-year, $70 million deal. You go, look, you got to go tell these motherfuckers. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. You're going to send my ass home. You're going to be all right. You better go tell them. I can't even go back to the locker room. For real. All your credentials are revoked, sir. Players are feeling it. Players, I mean, I remember, again, when we released Dave Garrard, I mean, for a moment, I was like, really not for a moment. I was like, yo, this season is going to suck. I thought we were going to the playoffs this year. Nuh-uh. They just released Dave. I said, this shit's going to be a long season. Shit. Josh McCown? Oh, my God. Nobody's seen him in practice. Nobody's seen him in practice. They don't know what I know. He's not the guy. He's not the guy. Oh, man. Connor Kennedy for $2 says, please come to Buffalo and be our O-line coach. Tell them to send me an email and I will discuss. Jason Gaines. The Greg finally makes an appearance in the chat. Stop ducking Uche. UCLA, keep Chip Kelly. Your boy Brady needs a life alert for retirement. # goodbye. Yeah. Jason Gaines and the Greg have been going at it all year. The Greg, he fucks with me. He brings up these random stats about how many times Tom Brady has beaten the Jaguars, and he super chats me with those. It's like, hey, I just want to tell you that this is the anniversary of the Jaguars getting slammed your 5th year in the league when you guys went to New England and got stomped out. Here's $5. I'll be like, bitch. For your troubles. Appreciate it, Jason. Appreciate you there. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how this situation plays out. And just to kind of wrap things up, and once
and also when it shapes up. Like, when is the coaching hire going to happen? I mean, it's got to happen soon, right?
It needs to be imminent.
Like, it can't linger into next week. It can't linger into next week.
It can't. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to get at. That's the point I wanted to get at, and have everybody kind of discuss that before, and once we do that, I'll go through the rest of the super chats for the people in the audience. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already done so, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't as of yet. Now, how does this play out? It's like you can't even say, what do I hope happens? Because ain't shit happened. So what am I supposed to hope for? Like, what we thought was supposed to be is no longer what it's going to be. So, people, like, when they asked me today on 1010XL, I told them I think it's dead, because if it was going to be done, it would be done. What would be the holdup? Oh, there can only be one holdup, and that's the one detail that everybody seems to agree on.
Trent Baalke.
Trent Baalke needs to get the fuck out.
Fucking 800-pound gorilla.
How is he surviving this? You know what I mean? Like, you can't go down on the field during a game next season if you're still here.
Got a ride or die owner, man.
Jim Harbaugh's going to interview with the Vikings again tomorrow. Something to look for.
Ooh. Oh, Jim Harbaugh.
It's funny because It's funny because Shad Khan's like his biggest downfall is also his biggest strength in the fact that he is a very patient owner and he does trust his people, which if you have the right people in place, it's a damn good thing. But if you have guys like Trent Baalke in place, then you're kind of fucked.
And Baalke has the self-awareness to realize that he has been an influence on Shad. So he continues with that influence and, kind of cements himself in his position. And that, I mean, it goes against all the logic. Like when you have multiple years of fucking trash football and you decide, okay, you know what? We got to reset this. We got to rebuild this shit. We got our first overall pick. Everybody's supposed to go. Everybody.
Yeah.
And when you say everybody, you're talking about the coaching staff, the head coach, and the GM. Gone. That's how you do it. That's the only way you can start something fresh. There's going to be this stench around fucking Jacksonville Stadium as long as he's there. Because if he has a say in anything, then we haven't changed. We're just replacing one cog instead of buying a new watch. And it's just going to break down in the end. Eventually you're going to do exactly what you were supposed to do when it all started. You're going to have to get rid of everybody. How many times do we got to do that? You know what I mean? How many times are you going to have to find yourself back at that spot because you didn't go through the whole purge process beforehand? That's where it's all like it's frustrating because that shit right there, you shouldn't need to be, a rocket scientist to do something like that. That's pretty evident if you just watch what other teams do.
Yeah.
Giants got rid of GM. They made the GM retire. They said, look, motherfucker,
Put him out the
you
pasture.
are done. Like,
and then they
retiring.
And then they wanted to keep Joe Judge, but enough GMs are saying, I'm not going to work with that guy. And what did they do?
Yeah. They got rid of him. They're like, hey,
they
man,
got
sorry.
rid of him.
Here, we'll pay for a party at your house. You can put some Miller Lite and some.
We'll send you some natties.
It's taken us 46 days to learn about Trent Baalke, and nothing's being done about it.
And it just shows that there is a lack of understanding football and the etiquette and the processes of football and building a franchise by the owner of the team. And if he's not willing to actually do the dirty work and be involved with the team on a day-to-day basis, then the team is not going to improve. And it's not that it's because you're not getting necessarily the best players. It's because you don't have the structure to improve. And you have people who aren't known for making good decisions, making the decisions. It's such a broken record that it's annoying. Christian Peterson. Let's get through these super chats and then we'll wrap this thing up. Christian Peterson, $4.99. Speaking of laughing at Herb, Trev led a grind chant to start the practice after that Ohio incident happened.
Yeah, that's
they started chanting grind.
No, they like broke down the huddle.
They broke it down.
Yeah,
grind on three. 1, 2, 3.
They posted
grind.
On the team Twitter too.
It wasn't a secret.
Grind.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Self-degradation.
Yeah, they told us it happened.
Firing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you made fun of yourselves, but you still look stupid.
Always do.
Aid for $4.99. No message there, but we appreciate the super chat. Tucker White, 94 for $5. He says, when Trevor's first big boy contract comes due, he should just defect to a real team. I don't see how anything improves in Saxonville. Well, big boy contract ain't even gonna happen. That's not gonna happen if there's not shit rolling the right way. And by the time he gets to the end of his rookie contract, that's not gonna happen. He's gonna be a backup, like the litany of Jaguars quarterbacks before him. Oh my God, can you imagine? Blake Bortles, first round pick. Blaine Gabbert, first round pick. Byron Leftwich, first round pick. All backups by the end of their first contract.
Shit.
All backups. These were all first round picks.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal.
Whew. My goodness. James Molitor says, best guest on the next head coach. I love y'all's content. Thank you very much. Appreciate that super chat. Like we said, at this point, it's so dysfunctional that I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know who to
It's
think
just-
will be the next head coach.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody that we expected is maybe still being considered. I mean, I don't know where this shit is going. But, hey, what's new in Duval?
I could see them like misspelling someone's name on the list and missing them that way.
Maybe they're gonna wait till Valentine's Day when they can finally talk to Kevin O'Connell after the Super Bowl.
Maybe they'll ask for John Harbaugh.
No, keep his ass. He can stay in college.
Trent Baalke already hates him.
Oh yeah, it's true. You can't do Baalke. You can't run that back.
I meant the brother. Sorry.
That would be hilarious. He comes
Run it
walking
back.
into the office.
Oh man.
Hey, I heard you talking shit.
Trent.
Shad's like, what do you think about this Jim Harbaugh guy? Stay away from him.
He's like, no. Golly, man. It's so bad. Charlie T with another super chat for $2 says, can we make this state of the clowning a thing? Man, look. But when I saw that emoji was made, I was just like, Jag fans done actually started a movement. Oh shit. I'm like, this might work. I thought it would. I think it will have an effect. I'm not sure at the end of the day, how much it will play into, whether or not Trent Baalke stays or not. But it definitely put Jacksonville in the headlines, and it does send a message to the owner, regardless of what he thinks or what he feels. There's a message that he knows loud and clear is being sent, and the rest of the country saw that message as well.
For sure. So I don't know if you know, but me and my homies were the ones who started that. And someone asked me like what number I thought would be like successful of like people who have noses or clowns in the stadium. And I told him before the game, I was like, it's successful if after the game, all you see are the professional picture shot of the clowns in the crowd. And that's all you saw. Didn't matter what the outlet was. It was all over the place. So it was like the most successful thing we've ever done. It was so much fun.
Yeah, no, dude, it was. I mean, that was all over Twitter.
Was
Videos of people dancing with clown suits on. I was sitting in the bathroom in front of a mirror doing the Joker, just like these motherfuckers. They got me doing this. Painted my face up. Hey, I'm with it, man. Shoot, it's just. You get tired of that shit, man. I mean, and it's been such a rough season for the Jags fans and for the Jaguars, the players, everyone involved with the organization. So, when you see that things are not really being handled in an appropriate fashion, you tend to, lash out at it. And that's what the fans did. I think it's good, because what's going to affect them more than anything is less season ticket sales, less revenue from concessions, all these things. At the end of the day, they count that money too. So the team is going to have to react at some point, and whether it's now or a year from now, they're gonna have to react to how the fans feel about the direction of the franchise. It's just how it is. All right, Jeremy Joyle, why haven't we heard about Byron interviewing anywhere else? I've been told that he is set on Jacksonville. Yep. He has a deep desire to bring things full circle and come back to Jacksonville as the head coach. And he wants to bring Adrian Wilson. And he feels that is like that they will bring a new life to the franchise moving forward. And so that's why you haven't seen other teams bring him in. You think other teams wouldn't be asking Byron Leftwich to come in and do an interview at this point after he's gone the last, 3 years in Tampa? Yeah, they would be asking, but they know, and he has respect in the league to where they're not going to do that because they know where he wants to be. Now, once he declares that he is, he's moving on, if it's in a timely manner, yeah, other teams will jump on him in a second. I could see the Saints doing that.
Them DMs gonna blow up.
His DM's gonna blow up. I'm single.
The fact that he still wants us after all this is like, how can we fuck this up? I mean, how can a really good head coach candidate still want a team after all this dysfunction and this mess? It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's insane. It's insane. Chase N for $4.99. Why is Peterson interview only with Tony and Shad? Caldwell feels he is legit. He's a legit option in Jax. Truth to that. What are Byron's chances now? Okay, so a little bit of grammar missing there, but Doug Peterson met with Tony and Shad. Is that what they're saying? Is that what's being verified? Does anybody know?
I hadn't seen that. That's news to me. It might be true. That's cool if so. Maybe something's happening. I don't know.
Well, Doug Peterson, he had a second interview today. Caldwell's interviewed. Look, there's a lot. Everybody's got questions. We ain't really got all the answers. We just get right now we're guessing because it's gone so far off the reservation that you're just kind of looking for a dirt road to get back onto. So.
Right.
As far as Byron's chances right now, I'd say, my honest opinion is until somebody can get, and I feel like this isn't even really exclusive to Byron. I feel like this is really exclusive to anyone who's actually been a head coach trying to get that job is until until the impasse with Trent Baalke is resolved, they're not coming here. You can't even pay them enough. Because that kind of friction and discomfort is not worth. You can't pay for me to go through that if I'm a coach dealing with him. So it's Scout About for $2. I want a coach to rally around Trevor. Well, we ain't got one.
If they know it's good for them, they will. But.
We ain't got one. When we get one, we might be able to. Zach is whack for $5. UCF, what up, brother? The best two YouTubers ever. Middle finger emoji, Baalke.
What up, Zach?
What's going on, Zach? Here we go. Matt talks beer for $5. He says, if I was an NFL team owner and had people telling me you don't want Baalke as a GM, I would listen. Khan must be deaf. I mean, that's logical. So logical. This is something that is common in the NFL. Once you get into the front office and ownership, you're dealing with massive egos. People who do not get told no and who do not allow themselves or do not want to show that they have bent to the will of someone else, because that's usually what they do. So we gotta just wait and see how it plays out. I really hope somebody like Tony Khan can, crack that barrier at some point. I really hope that he can, because it's gonna be sorry, bro. Y'all don't understand. I had Gene Smith as my GM, bro. This dude was the worst GM I ever seen, and that was just so painful watching a good team get broken down brick by brick over 4 years. I was just this is ridiculous. So, I hope that somebody can get through to him. I really do. OMZ31 for $4.99. UCF, glad you and Uche linked up. Two of the best Jaguars YouTubers. High fives. Hopefully our owner get this shit emoji together before no one wants to coach here. No one wants to coach here. That's kind of where we're at. That's the problem.
So one guy really wants to coach here.
Yeah, and you can't
one guy
get him.
does, but we don't want him.
Yeah. Baalke's such an asset. He's got the proven track record. Can't get rid of Baalke.
Track record of a GM.
The one and done.
Ain't good.
The one and done coaches.
He makes the whole ship run.
Oh,
into the ground or into the sea. Backwards.
Down, well, I guess downwards. If it's a fucking ship.
Buju Bongchan for $5. I low-key wanted to see the Rams lose 3 times to the Niners, so they know how 99 Jags fans have felt. Also, F. Ramsey. Well, I mean, look, this is just another story of more Jaguars leaving Jacksonville and then going on to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, at least we can say, hey, Rams, remember when Ramsey used to play for us? Remember when we used to have that guy? Remember that?
He was pretty good, right?
He was pretty good, right? Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Yeah, what happened to him? Yeah, we gave him away.
Yeah. Stafford leaves Detroit and boom, Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Like that.
So that, I mean, and look, man, look, even Detroit Detroit gets a couple players, and they might be. I mean, look, NFC North, is it? NFC North?
Mm-hmm.
NFC North's wide open next year. They might
Especially with no
sneak
Aaron
in and
Rodgers.
snatch that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They might sneak in there and snatch that. And
It's up for grabs.
I laughed at Dan Campbell when they hired him. I was like, this guy is a fucking meathead. But hey, for them, having a meathead kind of worked. You know, they didn't win a ton of games, but they won some games, and they looked, you know, they should have won a few more. They looked like a team that was starting to grow a little bit by the end of the year. So, you know, when Detroit's doing better than Jacksonville, you know it's time to fucking clean entire house.
Blow that shit up.
Blow it up. Dave K, $5 super chat. Appreciate it. He says, maybe there is truth to find a better candidate rumor. Why else would all these names start popping up so late? What do you guys think about that? I mean, I guess the question is,
I mean, the better candidate rumor.
Y'all got to do a little bit with this grammar here.
The better candidate rumor, though, is from Baalke. Baalke's looking for someone who will work with him. So unless it's someone who will work with him, is it actually a better candidate?
Oh yeah. So it's only a better candidate if they want to work with him.
Right. So it doesn't have anything to do with the body of work. It's literally another. They're just looking for yes men.
They're inherently a worse candidate if they'll work with him.
Yeah.
I mean,
no
if
problem.
you look at the guys that Baalke hired after Jim Harbaugh over there, it was like Chip Kelly and like Jim Tom Sula, just terrible options. And it's looking like we might get a terrible option over here. I mean, and I don't even know, like with the guy today, the rich guy. I mean, who knows if he would work with Baalke? I mean, is there anybody out there that's really been confirmed that they'll work with Baalke besides maybe like Bevel?
Not that I've seen, and I don't even know if Bevel would. I'm just assuming because why would anyone else hire him?
I mean, why would Bevel want to hang around here after this year?
For real.
Because of the
It was a
beach.
terrible year. Yeah.
I mean, it was traumatizing, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a lot of people in that building who, if they, you know, are able to get out and go somewhere else, a lot of position coaches, I'm sure that they would be like, never again. I don't care what they offer. I would never go back there. Because, you know, people want to be able to work somewhere where there's stability. You just want stability. You're not asking for anything other than to know what to expect from the people in the organization.
Confidence.
God damn, I mean, it's like just the basics. Just the basics. That's all I want.
Competence.
Just be a pro.
7-9, we're gonna throw a parade, and I'll lead it. That's where we're at right now.
Shit. You know what I mean? Like, shit, something. Michael Hargadon, my bad. $2 super chat. He says here, Poll, Peterson or Leftwich? I'd love UCF's take.
I mean, I saw it on the Peterson trade. Now I've kind of switched toward Leftwich. I mean, if we get Peterson, I mean, I'm still happy with it. I definitely prefer Leftwich right now. I think that's what the fan base would like, and I think a lot of people have kind of talked me into all his pros. And I mean, the fact that Leftwich wants us so bad, I mean, especially after all that we're making him go through. I mean, give me Leftwich all day, and let's run it with him and Adrian Wilson, and let's try to get this thing turned around.
No, I agree 100%. I think that's spot on. At this point, it's somebody who wants to do it, and they've got, you know, a city that's got their arms wide open to bring them back. I mean, yeah, why not? Shit. Volcang, $5 says, can't wait to see them.
This is good.
What?
I'm
Can't wait to
reading,
see them
I'm
name Baalke as the head coach because he's the only person willing to take the job with that Trent guy as the GM. Okay, yeah, that is kind of funny.
I found a picture of like Shad Khan wearing like a headset on the sidelines. It's like the only man that would be willing to work with Trent Baalke. Shad Khan.
Oh God, it's sad, but it's true.
Like the Spider-Man meme, like you.
Everybody's like, yeah, you. We're all the same. Jesus is king for $5. So you keep in touch with Byron. I'd like to know what Byron is thinking. I have not talked to Byron since I my freshman year in the NFL. I mean, my rookie year in the NFL. He was gone by the time we finished preseason. So didn't know him that well, but knew him as a teammate well enough to, get a vibe for him. Good dude, good demeanor, just, the NFL's business.
Yeah, I know previous players had reached out to Byron on Wednesday, and as of Friday, they hadn't heard anything back. So I think he's on, being real quiet about it all.
I think he's probably not responding until he gets more of an understanding himself of what the situation actually is. Because I'm sure at this point he's laid out his how he wants it to go, his
list of demands,
his caveats for taking the job. And the Jags, or probably Trent Baalke, who was in his face at the time because it was probably doing a Zoom with fucking Shad, which I don't know if he did or not. That's what I heard.
The second interview was in person, though.
Okay. So second interview in person. They said he showed up in a teal suit.
That was the Zoom.
Yeah. And I mean, God, man, like, give the guy the job. Like, nobody wants to fuck with Baalke. Just get rid of Baalke. If you get rid of Baalke, you can hire other coaches if you don't like Byron. He'll come.
Isn't that amazing?
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's got about $2. Baalke makes Gene Smith look like a successful GM.
Uche can't defend that.
I can't defend that at all. This dude, Gene Smith, my guy.
Yeah.
When I knew Gene Smith was a fucking dickhead, and I was like, you don't know shit. When he told me that he used to be a principal of a middle school, I was like, how the fuck did you get here? How the fuck did you get here? So I used to be a principal at a middle school, and now I find myself here. And then I was brought in as a director of scouting for Jaguars. I'm the reason why you're in Jacksonville, right? And I was like,
are you serious?
You cutting me? It's my rookie year. He's like, I'm the reason you're in Jacksonville, right? I'm like, bro, like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, thanks. Like, what the fuck you want from me, dude? Just getting out of practice. Like, get the fuck away from me.
Like, all right. Cool.
So, but that guy, he brought a guy on the team, man. This dude, I swear to God. I every time I start talking about Gene Smith, I gotta go on a little rant because he is like, that dude was the worst. This guy said he doesn't want a guy who's a great player. He wants a guy who's a great person.
Yeah.
I'm like, then you shouldn't be in football because there are a lot of people in football who are not good people, but they are good football players.
Yes.
And he started drafting guys he didn't draft this dude, but he brought this dude in and like he was like pushing to get this guy to be a starter. This dude was from a college like the Colorado School of Mining or some shit like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
School of Mines.
Yeah,
you remember that shit? Do you remember when they brought that cat into the team?
Yeah, the Colorado School of Mines, bro.
Yeah, we brought a guy in and this dude was like, yeah, Colorado School of Mines. And I'm like, I turn around in the team meeting room like, you mean like actual mines? Were they like
blowing shit up or?
Yeah, no, it's like for like super smart people
digging for stuff, mining.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, this guy's gonna be a great player for us. And I'm like, bro,
data mining.
All right, he's gonna do analytics because he ain't doing no damn football. His ass.
Gene Smith brought in a bunch of small school dudes and they all sucked.
Yeah,
and they all
he tried to be the smartest.
Lehigh University.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the only good guy he was able to really get was
King.
like Cecil Shorts out of like Mount Union. Other than that, it was just, I mean, he
Cecil
brought in guys
Shorts.
like
Chad
Deji Kareem.
Yeah, out of Elon.
Yeah.
Chad Nkang was good. Me and Chad Nkang was my boy my rookie year. Me and that cat were together every day after practice. And I would always be like, Chad, man, why are you always late to meetings, bro? They fined you like 30, 40,000 this year.
Damn.
That's why he got cut, because he was just late every day. He was late for everything every day. I've never seen it. I've never seen that happen before or since. Like a guy is just late. He cannot get anywhere on time. But he did set like a franchise record for special teams tackles his rookie year.
Yeah, he was a teamer for sure.
Yeah, he was good. It was good. Jacking off for $4.99 says every other candidate is when you're asked who would you work with. Well, come on, guys. Every other candidate, when you ask who would you work with, when you're asked, would you work with Baalke, just say no. That was.
I agree. Hopefully they all say no, and then they fire.
I think that's what it is. I mean, they wouldn't still be searching if it wasn't. That's how I feel. Boss Man Craze for $20. Trent Baalke versus Dave Caldwell. Shit, Caldwell wins that by a fucking mile. And
easily, without question.
Without question. Caldwell, as much as as much as I didn't necessarily really like him that much, he made some he got some good picks. He made some good picks. He did. He just couldn't keep that shit going. Gene drafted a punter in the third. Yeah, he drafted a punter before he drafted me. I remember that because that was my rookie year.
And over Russell Wilson.
And over Russell Wilson. Yeah, he drafted
that's cool. We didn't need him anyway.
What's his name? Adam Podlish.
Was every punt in the inside the 5-yard line?
No, that would be Brian Anger. Brian Anger was the next one that I think we drafted Anger too.
In the third round.
Yeah, it was Brian Anger. He's the Cowboys kicker or punter.
Oh, so Anger was. So we drafted 2 punters.
Yeah,
I was on the team with Anger.
Yeah, he was drafted. He was drafted in Andrew Luck's draft. I don't know, what was it, 2013, 2012, or 2011, I think it was.
Yeah, because we had Podlish. Then Podlish went to the Bears.
Yeah, and then
we drafted Anger. Like, who drafts punters?
Gene Smith.
I mean, no disrespect to punters, but who drafts punters?
No, all disrespect to punters.
Yeah, fuck them. Hey, a punter should never be drafted before the 6th round.
Yeah.
You just took a flyer at the end. He was like, oh, okay.
Like, bro, look.
Jaguars drafted the punter they have right now, too, in the 6th round.
Yeah, like you should never take them before 6th round. And we took punters twice over future Hall of Famers. So, it's not another most Jacksonville thing you could possibly do. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. We just we got through all the super chats now. We are going to wrap this up. Look, I really do appreciate Edilla and UCF Jag, man. You guys have been awesome. Appreciate you guys for being on. Definitely have to get y'all back on and come on and do some more with us when we get some more breaking Jag news. My boy Jay Blay, just Blaylock, my co-host. We appreciate everybody being in here. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already done so. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that as of yet. And think about becoming a member if you already have. I'm your observer lineman, Uche Waneri, and we appreciate you guys. We are done. We will catch you on our Wednesday Super Bowl predictions. So be looking out for that. Hope everyone has a good night. We will catch you all later. Peace.
Go Jags.